2025 was the first year that I ever read over 100 books, and I feel very, very accomplished in that. I am very proud of myself for how much I read and getting so many books off of my TBR. And because of that, I found some new favorite books. So today we're going to be talking about my favorite books of 2025. I think we should just get into it. I did not put my favorites in any particular order. I'm looking at my list over here. I don't know if I would be able to pick my favorite book of the year, but we've got my top 10 in no particular order. Honestly, they might just be in the order that I read them in, to be honest. So let's just get into my top 10 books of 2025. I'm gonna start off with a controversial one. Zodiac Academy, The Awakening. I started reading it in, I believe, January, and then I put it on another TBR in like March. I never finished it because it was on my Kindle, and I think I was just like not physically reading a ton at that point, but I challenged myself to finish all the books that I was in the middle of before the end of the year, and this was one of them. And when I sat down and actually read it, it was such a good read. Guilty pleasure read, maybe. I know it's not like this beautiful literature gonna go down in history as one of the best written series ever, but I had so much fun with it, and I am excited to continue on in the series. I think people like it more and then like it less as the series goes on, and most people say you just have to get through the first book. I enjoyed the first book, so I think the rest of the series is gonna be great. However, I think people didn't like the last few that have come out because it felt like they were dragging it out, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when I continue on in this series. I don't know when that'll be because I don't own them, and I'm trying to prioritize my physical TBR, but this one was just so much fun. If you don't know what it's about twins who find out they're from a different world. They're basically changelings. Their family was royalty. Their parents got murdered, and when that was happening, they were switched out with another set of twins into the real world. They lived a pretty hard upbringing in foster care, and then they find out on their 18th birthday their true self and their family history, and that they are the heirs to the crown, but they have to go to Zodiac Academy and complete their schooling there, and I think just learn more about themselves in order to take the throne, except they don't really want to. However, there are these families who thought they were who had taken over the throne since they've gone missing, and since their parents were murdered, the children of these families are expecting to be the heirs, and so there is some bullying going on there between these twins and these guys who think they're going to be the heirs. And I think eventually it's like a bully romance series. Synopsis might not have been good, but I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars just because of how long it took me to read it, but it was like popcorn read once I got into it. Guilty pleasure, not so guilty. I never really feel guilty about guilty pleasures. So that was one of my favorite books of the year, even without it being a 5-star read. Next, I have Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I read this one for another video, and I wasn't gonna read this, or I was really putting it off, like it wasn't super on my radar. I thought, okay, I'll just read it eventually. But I'm really, really glad I did read it this year, and I do definitely want to continue on in the series in 2026. This is a young adult series. The first 2 are about Shannon and Johnny. I couldn't think of his name. And Shannon has basically been forced to grow up pretty fast. She goes through a lot in her home life, and at school she gets bullied a lot. And she ends up at this new school where Johnny goes, and he is a huge rugby player at the school, but then we soon find out just in the rugby scene as a whole. I don't know a ton about rugby, I'm gonna be completely honest, but on her like first day they're introduced because she walks on the field and gets hit in the head because Johnny kicked a ball, whatever, and that is their connection, and they kind of can't get each other out of their minds after that, and keep getting pushed together in different ways. In times it's super cute and innocent, and then other times it's super serious romance and just life, the hardships that life throws at people. And yeah, I really enjoyed this first one. I'm excited to read the next one, like I said, but I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. Continuing series is hard, but also these audiobooks I feel like are so long because a lot of them are put into 2 parts, and that just makes me feel like I'm reading 2 books instead of one. My brain doesn't like it. I don't even think I gave that one 5 stars either. I don't know how many on this list are 5-star reads. Then I have Shield of Sparrows, which I think was a 5-star read by Devney Perry. This was a romantasy that came out this year. To be honest, what was it about? But I don't know. Where enemies become lovers, monsters stalk a cursed realm, and a forgotten princess finds the strength to tear off her crown and become the warrior she never meant to be. God sent monsters to 5 kingdoms to remind immortals they must kneel. She is a princess, but she's like the second born, kind of not expecting great things in her life. Monster Hunter came to her home, and everyone was expecting that the exchange would be her sister as his wife, and things get all thrown out of sorts, and it ends up being her, and she gets married to this guy, which means she has to leave with him. She's bound to him now, and they go on this treacherous journey together. I really enjoyed this one. I'm trying not to give too much away about it because the synopsis isn't too in-depth of what they go through together, but I really like the romance in this. There's some plot twists in this that you don't see coming, but some that are like pretty obvious, and at the ending, cliffhanger. I'm really excited for the second one to come out in 2026, and I will definitely pick that up. I actually read this when I wasn't really in the mood for romantasy, and I was kind of scared to pick it up because throughout this year I was like kind of slumpy with, in general, but especially with fantasy and romantasy, but this one hit hard. It was so good. Then I have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This was my first Abby Jimenez ever. This one is about a couple who they meet each other because he is a vet and she found this cat who like doesn't have a butthole or something like that. Trust me, I know. At the beginning I was like, oh my god, is this really gonna be how it starts? He thinks, okay, you should just put the cat down because like the surgery that they have to get is really expensive, and if not, the cat's just gonna die. She ends up having a GoFundMe, gets the money, gets the butthole, whatever. She comes back to him. She's going on a plane and she needs to bring this cat, and so she's getting some help with that. I think something signed for the plane, and then also some medication so the cat can like sleep during the plane ride. They end up having this crush on each other, and they go on this incredible date that day instantly and like have a really good time. She told him she was going on a trip. Later that night he finds out that it's not just a trip, she's moving across the country back to her hometown because her mom is dealing with, I can't remember if it's dementia or Alzheimer's, and it's having like a profound effect on her whole entire family, and she wants to be with her family during this hard time, help support, because it's a full-time job to care for someone with, I think it's dementia, but I could be wrong. And so they're like, oh, this is our only date. They cannot stop thinking about each other. Obviously there's a whole romance book about it, so it doesn't just end there. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I was going to because of that beginning with the butthole thing. I thought like kind of silly, stupid, to the point where I'm like, ugh, roll my eyes at, but I ended up enjoying it a lot, and I'm definitely going to check out more from Abby Jimenez. She's kind of been one that I've been scared of reading because she has so much hype, but this one was good, and I will definitely, the sequel's coming out. There's this theme here, but the sequel is coming out in 2026, early 2026, so I'll definitely pick that up. right away. Next I have Daisy Darker. I think this is my favorite thriller of the year, and this came out like 3 or 4 years ago, honestly. I've put it off for so long. I knew I was gonna enjoy it. I just kept putting it off, never bought it. Also, most of these books I didn't own. You tell I'm not holding any of these up. It's because I listened to the audiobook or read the Kindle version of it. Interesting, but almost bought it a few different times, kept putting it off. I have so many thrillers, don't pick it up, but I buy different thrillers. And but I ended up listening to the audiobook this year and I loved it. This was like standout. This may be my favorite book of the year, to be honest. I don't know that for sure. Like I said, I don't know my favorite, but I don't really have a ranking, but this probably is my favorite, or like top 2, to be honest. A family is called back to an estate by their Nana for her 80th birthday. They've all avoided each other for years and years, but they're finally all back in one place. This estate is like on an island too, so they can't just easily come and go. Tide comes in, so they're stuck there for like 8 hours with no entry to the rest of the world either way. They each have their secrets surrounding why they stopped talking and their life since. And at midnight, their Nana is found dead, and chaos ensues because of that and because they're cut off from the rest of the world. And soon someone else follows and dies as well. So they're forced to face their past and how that's coming to their current time and their secrets all with that. I really enjoyed this one. I thought the twists were really good. I guessed some of them. I didn't guess other ones. It was like the perfect combination of being like predictable in the way that it makes sense, but also unpredictable. I really, really enjoyed this one. The audiobook was really good, so if you're looking for a nice, quick thriller audiobook, definitely would recommend Daisy Darker. I don't know, I think it was just like so good. So good. I've read other Alice Feeney's this year. Hint towards my worst books of the year weren't good. So she's hit or miss for me as well. Silver Elite by Dani Francis. The sequel's also coming out in 2026, but I'm gonna pick it up absolutely instantly. I am so excited. This is a kind of dystopian fantasy. Something happened that ended up giving some people psychic abilities, but that is a death sentence in this world. So those with the gifts need to try and hide it at all costs, because if caught, they're killed or used. They can be used and turned on themselves and those of their kind. So we follow Ren, and she's been hiding her abilities for quite a long time, but she does something stupid which gets the eyes of those at Silverblock, which is like a training program kind of. They don't know she's a modified, so she uses this as a way to hit them from the inside. So we have this training kind of sequence, kind of like Fourth Wing, but not quite. Obviously a different kind of world, but it reminded me of that. And so yeah, she wants to hit them from the inside. She has some connections to those on the outside of, like, they're on the modified team, and a wrench gets thrown in her plans when she meets, I forgot what his name is, Cross Redden, who is a officer and related to some pretty high up people. And there is a little bit of a romance there. I don't know, I didn't do a really good job describing that, but there's so much in this book and it was just so interesting. I loved it. I thought it was so good, and I really hope the sequel is just as good and does not ruin this first book. I feel like maybe I should reread it before the second one comes out. I don't know. I don't reread a ton because there's so many books that I want to read for the first time. But maybe I need to brush up on what happened. 5-star read, definitely would recommend. This was another one, I think I was kind of at the beginning of my romantic fantasy slump, and this was not included in that. It was so good it didn't even matter. The next one's kind of a cheat because it's 3 books in a series. It is the Windy City series of what I've read of it. Mile High, which is the first one, The Right Move, and Caught Up. These are sports romances set in Chicago. This is a hockey romance, a basketball romance, and a baseball romance. I love this series. You may ask why I haven't finished it yet if I love this series. Don't ask that. It's just like a super cute, fun, easy peasy popcorn romance series, and I love it. They do deal sometimes with some more serious topics, but nothing too, I don't think there's anything that's been too serious, but real life issues. I love the series. I obviously started with Mile High, and I just wanted to devour this whole series very quickly. Things got in the way, so I haven't, but I will hopefully finish it very soon. Liz Tomforty has a new book coming out in March, maybe? I can't remember what month. I mentioned it in my quarter 1 releases video, which it's not in this series, but it ties back to Caught Up and Play Along, which is the next book in this series, because it is their coach. Had to mention all of these. Caught Up is my favorite out of these 3, which I didn't think would be the case. I had never read a baseball romance before, but it's also a single dad nanny romance, and it's just so good. It's so good. So that one ended up being my favorite so far. We'll see how the rest of the series shakes out, but I couldn't just mention one. For most of the year, this was my favorite book of the year. See, this is why I can't order them, because this might be in my top 2. I think my top 3 would probably be Caught Up, Silver Elite, and Daisy Darker. I think those are probably the top 3, but everything in this list, so good. So technically it's a top 12 of the year, but we're counting this series as one. And I have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I love this. This was another hockey romance. This is a college hockey romance series. Again, I have not continued on this series. I bought the rest of the series and I bought the spin-off series, so I need to continue on. It is kind of about the womanizer guy on the hockey team and a pretty innocent girl and he gets her to help him get his grades up in this one class, and it helps with her social status and getting the interest of another guy. I don't know, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was super cute. I'll always be good with this trope. I'll always like this trope of like kind of a womanizer guy, but one girl gets him for real. Then I have Harriet Tubman Live in Concert by Bob the Drag Queen. First off, Bob the Drag Queen is one of my favorite drag queens of all time. I just knew I was gonna read this kind of no matter what. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or if it was gonna be good writing or whatever. Sometimes celebrities get books and they're just not that great, but this one was great. The heroes of history are coming back to life. Harriet Tubman, I think 4 of the enslaved people that she helped to get to freedom come back. She wants to tell her story and they want to do it in a creative way. It becomes a Broadway production and she needs someone to help, so that is why our main character comes in, Darnell. And he is a songwriter, previously very successful hip-hop producer. He then was outed on TV and that kind of derailed his career at the time, because that was, I don't remember if it's in the 90s or when it was, but it was quite a while ago. So he's helping Harriet, but it's like the classic, he's helping her and then he soon realizes how much she's helped him over this time. And as they work together and kind of make some realizations that allow him to move forward in his life. I just thought it was like a really beautiful story, but also told and explored in a really interesting way as well. It was so good. I would read so many more books in this world with more like historical figures. I would never think I would say that, but I loved it. It was beautiful. I would recommend it. Does not get enough hype. The audiobook, also really good. Bob the Drag Queen narrates it. Mwah. And then finally, I have The Thrashers by Julie Soto. This was a young adult mystery. And when I was actually looking through what I read this year, I didn't read that many YA mysteries, which is one of my favorite genres. So I definitely need to up it in 2026 because I have a bunch on my shelves and I love them, so I just need to actually read them. This is about kind of an elite friend group at a high school. Our main character, Jody, is just not built to be in that group based on they're all rich, but one of her childhood best friends is in that group, so she kind of just is by association. Then a girl who really wants to be a Thrasher named Emily dies, and that's when everything kind of starts and more attention comes to the Thrashers, good and bad. Mostly bad though. Then her journal resurfaces and that starts a whole nother thing. Police attention on them a little bit more, and Jody has to make a choice, protect herself or protect her friends. But some messages and kind of weird occurrences are popping up that makes them think that Emily isn't quite done with them yet. I really liked it. It was a little spooky but not too spooky, and a little eerie but not too eerie, and not so much that it didn't make sense. I just had a really fun time with this, and it wasn't really on my radar, but I heard a lot about it on BookTube, so I kind of moved it up on my TBR, and I'm really glad I did. It was definitely a hit. Again, if you want a quick, easy thriller mystery, this was a good one. I listened to the audiobook for this one as well, so would definitely recommend. So that is my top 10 books of 2025. I feel like I had a pretty good reading year. Not the best, a lot of mid books, but the ones that I loved, I really, really loved. So I feel very good about that. My next video will be my least favorite books of 2025, and those were interesting. So definitely stick around, subscribe so you don't miss that one. Let me know in the comments down below what some of your favorite books of 2025 were, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!